Trying to get closer to the mic. All right. Here we are on Friday, 9th of May. This is Moshe coming to you from Israel in the Galilee. Oh, it's about 8:17 in the morning here. We're going to be hot today. More crazy weather. I mean, hot. 76 already, high 97. And it's going to be 96 tomorrow, 96 Sunday, 90 on Monday. Then it goes to 84, then 78, 79, 87, then 96. It's weird weather. It's like I've been telling you that 1,000,001 times. I've never seen, many years here in Israel, I've never seen weather like this at all. So what we're going to cover today is what's going on with India and Pakistan, and it's basically full-blown war. Although they haven't invaded each other yet, I imagine they're getting ready to do that. There was 125 planes fighting each other. The Indian warships are active. Pakistan and the border fighting against India is very enhanced, increased. It's big. India told people living near the border with Pakistan to evacuate. And very importantly, most people didn't get this, but the Pakistanis took down a French Rafale jet, which India had. This is the first time ever, according to Macron, a Rafale jet was ever shot down. It's a good jet. The Eurofighter is a good jet too. I don't know if India has any, but I don't think so. But the way it was taken down was through a Chinese missile. I think it's something like a C-17. I don't remember the designation. A Chinese missile did it. So China is already arming Pakistan. Okay? And if you could take a Rafale jet down, you could take a lot of jets down. Probably F-15s, F-18s, F-16s. I don't think it'll work on stealth jets like F-35s, F-22s, B-1s, B-2s. But it does work on the other stuff, apparently. This is very, very interesting. And Trump said that the dispute or the war between Pakistan and India is none of their business. Okay? Very interesting. And then I'm going to go through with you 4 ways. Actually, there's a 5th way. It's coming from sources in the Israel government going to the media that Trump and Netanyahu are no longer speaking. That would be the 5th way, in a sense. I'm going to go through the 4 ways he turned against Israel, and believe me, this is just the beginning of it. More to come, I'm sure. And we'll go through a lot of other events as well. So what I want to do now is go into the live stream and make sure that I have a live stream. And then I'll put a few quick posts up while people are coming in, and then we'll get started. So it's good to wait for people to come in. It's nothing wrong with that. And then we'll get started. So I think we got a good live stream. Got moderators here. Thank you much to the moderators. Quality lighting, I guess. Don't know what you mean. Okay, I'm going to quickly get my posts up as quick as I can. This won't take long. Some of you are going to leave. I know that, and there's nothing I can do about that. You're not very interested. Almost done, guys. And yeah, we've lost a few people. That's fine. They just come in here and playing games. What I really do here is pretty much what the title of the chapter really implies, is that I show you the current events because Yeshua told us to watch, and I fit it in with Bible prophecy so you know where we're at. Real Bible prophecy, not churchianity. Okay, I'm going to get my email address up. Okay, got everything done. Now I'm going to do some praise. We'll get going. There is no God like Jehovah. 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 There is no Messiah like Yeshua. 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 Okay. So the Indian war, the India-Pakistan war is basically cooking with gas, okay? There hasn't been a ground invasion. Remember back October 7th, those days, 2023, we were fighting against Gaza, but we didn't do an invasion. We just kept bombing them and stuff. Okay, that's pretty much what's going on with India and Pakistan. I would say we're in the pre-invasion stage, which might last 2, 3, 4, 5 weeks. It might take a little bit of time. I think you're probably looking more at about a week, though. Okay? What I think India would try to do is push into Pakistan, shove them back, and diminish the range, well, diminish the effectiveness of their missiles by making the range to hit India greater than what it is. Than what it is now. I don't believe either side has any deep underground facilities and tunnels and living underground. I don't think they do that. They're sophisticated countries, they're not terrorists, and they just decided to kill each other. Modi is at war with the Muslims. He wants India to be a real heavy duty Hindu state, and the Muslims, of course, are a constant threat to him, and he's taking action based on them coming into India and killing a bunch of tourists in cold blood, and because they weren't Muslims. And that is not making Modi happy at all. Pakistan and Modi and India have had skirmishes in the past. Okay. The problem here is that China is an ally of Pakistan. You could even say, in a soft way, Pakistan is a proxy of Iran. Okay? Not in the sense of the Houthis or Hamas or Hezbollah, more like in the sense the way Syria was before Bashar Assad left. So they sort of kind of listen, but they could say no, and this sort of stuff. Okay, it's going to continue with aircraft fighting, dog fights. I think they're having. I'm not sure. Drones are being taken down, missiles are being launched, artillery, gunfire. It's escalating. Okay, it's not diminishing, and both sides are moving and shifting military equipment around. China apparently has already entered into the conflict with advanced missiles, anti-aircraft missiles, to Pakistan. Advanced for them, not advanced for Israel or America. Okay? Then it's going to come drones and stuff like that. It's coming out that they took down Indian drones, 17. There's various numbers. India went to X, formerly Twitter, and had them close 8,000 sites or accounts, which means they don't want information leaking to the people of India as to what's going on. A lot of the people in India, I assume, do not believe this is going to go to great extent because of the previous history between the countries. I beg to differ because they're in the end times now, the end of the age. And if it was 10 years ago, I would agree with them, but not anymore. They don't get it, okay? And the people in America don't want to believe it's the daughter of Babylon, And, this is what happens to people surrounding Israel and these other countries. The Muslim nations don't believe that Israel's going to have the victory because of Jehovah. They don't believe that either. So, that's the way it is, I think now they're probably starting to get a little upset. But you see, the next turn in this war, Pakistan is saying India hits cities and they hit cities. It's getting ugly. But I think when it'll get very ugly is when somebody starts doing ground invasions. Probably it's going to be short distance incursions, trying to hold territory, maybe falling back behind their own border. This is probably how it's going to begin, okay? I don't see either side assembling 40 or 50,000 soldiers on the border making an announcement, hey, we're here, we're going to come in. Because then the other side will prepare for that with artillery, mortars, bombs, tanks, aircraft, helicopters, blah, 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 blah. And, destroy the invading army. But they've got to try to position themselves to make such an attack without the other side getting a real good idea of where it'll be, when it'll be, and what the strength it'll be. The generals there go to war colleges of their own in other countries, and they know how to do this. See, today's battlefield's not like World War II, or not like Vietnam, or not even like Afghanistan when America went in there. Or when America went into Iraq, not even like that. Because they have all these drones and they do surveillance surreptitiously. So there's no secret movements anymore. Okay? It's different. Got to do some spiritual warfare. Give me a second. All right, somebody was trying to be a wise guy. That should be finished. So America says they're out, which is no surprise, but they're not really out. They'll help India without sending troops, equipment, war toys. Maybe they'll help them with military advisors. Maybe they'll help them with reconnaissance flights, things of that nature. They're most unlikely to deploy troops and warships and stuff like that to India as it looks now. Trump knows better. He's not going there. Okay? So you've got potentially 3 billion people going to war, assuming China gets into it, which I'm certain they will. It'll start with military advisors, military equipments, weapons, anti-missile systems, and it'll probably escalate. Now, the crazy thing that most people are missing is Russia's moving military planes and military equipment into Afghanistan to help Afghanistan fight ISIS? What? Is Russia really moving equipment into Afghanistan? Yeah, I believe it. But why? Because Afghanistan is next door to Iran on the east. And they're going in there, I believe, to keep Afghanistan from attacking Iran when America does, which it looks like it will. And we're going to discuss how can America attack Iran based on their failure to stop the Houthis. And we'll get into that. So maybe Russia said, we'll come in and help you clean out ISIS, but we want you to stay out of the war with Iran. Now, if Russia just wanted to put weapons in to help Iran, it doesn't need to use Afghanistan, which is a small distance from Iran. Maybe they don't want to see their aircraft get hit if America starts hitting the airports. You know, you're not going to put an airplane in somebody's backyard. It's going to be in hangars at an airport. So they might only be 10 or 15 minutes flight time from well into Iran from Afghanistan. So they might have made some sort of deal with Afghanistan to keep them from fighting against Iran, possibly helping them fight ISIS. So that is pretty interesting. And what Putin is banking on is Trump doesn't have the guts to take down Russian planes if they start getting involved in the conflict between America and Iran. On this count, I'd say that Russia's wrong. If Trump will attack Iran, he'll attack Russia, he'll attack China, he'll attack them all. Okay? Trump can't possibly win against Iran without an extended boots on the ground invasion that would take a year and probably require minimally 4, 5, 600,000 troops, and he ain't about to do that. Okay, he's threatening them like crazy. He's acting like there's negotiations between them. There's not. And all we see coming out of Iran is we got a right to nuclear stuff and go fly a kite. You know? We're under no obligation to negotiate with you, go away. You know? So Iran isn't interested anymore. And they're threatening America. So what will happen when America attacks Iran, and I think it will, is first of all, Trump's goal is going to not be initially to destroy Iran and turn it into dust. His goal is going to be to punish Iran militarily with bombs and missiles, to bring Iran to him saying, let's talk ceasefire. And then Trump says, yeah, we'll demolish your nuclear facilities and you shall not do that anymore. You will import by purchase nuclear material of very, very low grade to be used in energy production. And we're going to limit your ballistic missiles and other stuff. And then if you play ball, we'll slowly and gradually reduce the sanctions. Iran will never do that. Okay? Trump's performance in Yemen against the Houthis is very telltale. He could not stop the Houthis from taking out American F-18 jets. Either 2 or 3 of them went in the drink or destroyed. And I'm thinking. And he couldn't stop the Houthis from launching missiles and drones. After 2 months of heavy bombing, Israel went in with the green light from Trump, and they did a very, very heavy-duty job on the Houthis in 24 hours. Ports are gone, electric plants are gone, their big airport is gone, ports, piers, all sorts of damage, okay? But did Israel destroy the underground facilities of the Houthis in Yemen? No. Did America use B-2 bombers on Yemen? Yes. Did they succeed in stopping Yemen's ability to fight? No. Did they hurt Yemen economically? Yes. Do the Houthis care? No. Trump was praising the Houthis publicly. They're very brave. We gave it to them really bad, and they just hung in there, you know. He's trying to butter them up. Will the Houthis turn around and attack American warships and bases and allies again if Iran gets hit by America? Yes. I would say the chances of that not happening are like less than 5%. They're going to definitely do it. That means they'll hit the UAE, they'll hit Saudi Arabia, and they'll hit American bases as best they can, plus warships belonging to America. Plus, they'll continue to attack Israel. Will they do that if Israel attacks Iran, not America? I doubt it. Because then America goes into deniability. Well, like Iran with the Houthis. We don't tell the Houthis what to do, they do it on their own. And, Trump will say, well, we're friends and allies with Israel, but we don't dictate to them. And Iran threatens Israel, and Israel attacks them. That's between the two of them. Kind of sort of like what he said with India and Pakistan. Got it? Okay. So America's playing Israel as a proxy. Is Israel going to attack the near impossible missile cities, of which they have 12, and their nuclear facilities? No. Will Israel take out a lot of their radar? Yep. Whatever's left, they'll take out. And when Iran tries to attack Israel, then America can, if they want to, re-enter the fighting with Iran or not. I don't know. Israel couldn't get the Houthis, so he stepped aside and let Israel go in. And Israel busted up Yemen pretty nice. Then an F-18 got destroyed again. And then Trump made some sort of ad hoc ceasefire. And the Yemen terrorists, the Houthis, are running around saying they brought America to surrender. So if America's going to attack Iran, it's going to do above ground military, which is a lot of, okay? Above ground government, intelligence, command centers. They can't have everything underground. What they have to have on the surface is radar and electrical grid. Kaput. Chaos in Iran. Right there, you could stop. Yeah, ports and stuff like that. And they have to take out the Navy. The Iran Navy is too much of a threat to Bahrain and Qatar, where America has a big air base in Qatar and a big Navy base in Bahrain. And it's also a threat to, in addition, Kuwait and UAE, their oil refineries, ports that they use to ship the oil off in, and refineries and all of this stuff. So he has to take out the Iranian warships, and that's not such a simple, easy thing to do. It's challenging because they're going to try to create as much damage while you take them out. Now, I saw videos of Iranian drones following American warships around the Sea of Oman and the Indian Ocean, which is outside the Persian Gulf. So they're stalking American warships. Do you understand? They're stalking them. So they know the positions so they can attack them. Will Iran do a preemptive strike on America while Trump is in the Middle East next week visiting Qatar, Saudi Arabia, and the UAE? Probably not. Because Iran is also playing the I hope game. See, when the smoke clears, what Iran's going to be left with is missile cities, the so-called 5 nuke facilities, and a country that's a smoldering mass of embers and ashes with panic, and a breakdown of civil order, that and desertions from the military. That's what they're going to be left with, and they know it. So it's really a way to total out Iran. I think Trump's not going to really try that seriously to get their missile cities and to get their nuke facilities because they've been even fortified in recent weeks during the so-called negotiations. So they're even harder to penetrate. Now let's talk about America and Israel turning against each other and what happened with great specificity. Trump announced the ceasefire with the Houthis without demanding that they stop firing at Israel. And the Houthis still have every intention of firing at ships going to and from Israel, and most likely will continue firing on ships like Maersk Lines and other companies that have hundreds of civilian vessels because that company used one of their boats to go to and from Israel. The Houthis never said they're going to stop that. They said they're going to enhance or step up their attacks on Israel. So what the Houthis meant is America, stop bombing us and we'll stop shooting at your warships. And that's all it is. Now, Trump's trying to make it look like it's more than that. It's not. Okay? So what's going to happen? Well, America's going to do nothing until Trump takes his tour of the Middle East, and that's probably to shore up the UAE and Saudi Arabia and Qatar and brace them for attacks from Iran. Kuwait, he's not going to. Kuwait maybe went on the side of Iran already because they were dancing with Iran, doing naval maneuvers together a few months ago. Kuwait may have thrown in the towel with America and went to Iran. And Oman possibly will go to Iran also. I'm not sure about that one because Oman tries to stay in the middle. They don't really want to be on one side or another. So it's hard for me to say what they're going to do with specificity yet. Jordan, he didn't go to. He probably doesn't have to. Jordan's going to go with America. Lebanon, there's no point in going to Lebanon. And I don't know where else he would need to go. Iraq, he ain't welcome in. I don't know where else he would go. He's not going to Israel. I think he's afraid to come to Israel. Is it possible that when Trump is in Qatar and the UAE, he's rather vulnerable and they'll try to attack there? Iran will with Iraq and or the Houthis and Yemen and Saudi Arabia too. I doubt it. The Iranians think Trump stopping with the Houthis in Yemen means he may leave them alone. Okay. All right. That was one reason. Next. Trump says he does not rule out the possibility of Iran enriching uranium for civilian purposes. This is probably Trump getting ready to backpedal. Now, I don't know. What happened in response to this is Netanyahu releases a video showing that Iran has a so-called secret underground nuclear facility for 10 years that's not been disclosed before, where they're making tritium. Tritium is a nuclear material used in bombs. They also, in recent years, use it on watches to glow, so the hands glow in the dark. They put a tiny amount of tritium in a sealed glass tube that they put on the hands of the watch, and it glows in the dark. It has a life of like 24 years, stuff like that. Okay. They don't seem to think it's dangerous because it's sealed in glass. I think they're right. In the old days, they used radium watches, which were not really sealed in glass. They were painted on the surface of the hands. A different ball game altogether. And they stopped using those probably in the 70s or something like that. Maybe even in the 60s. I don't know. The old yesteryear watches have it, and it seemed to last a long time. When you buy regular watches without tritium, they put some sort of paint on it. They got different names of it. And what happens is when you're in the light and you go to bed at night, your watch hands are going to glow typically for about 15 to 30 minutes. That's it. Now, some people do what's called charging. They take a high-powered flashlight and put it on the watch for a few seconds, like 10, 15 seconds. And then the watch might last, depending on the brand, you might get 2, 3, 4 hours out of it, but you're not going to be able to see the hands of the watch clearly after that. Although some people say they can get 8 hours, you can barely see it in the dark, you know. So maybe there's some watches that have big, thick, broad hands, and they put a lot of this paint on it, and maybe if you charge it up with a flashlight, maybe it'll last the night. I don't know. But the tritium is on all the time for 24 years. You don't have to charge it into anything. So, but it's used for nuclear materials. So Netanyahu painted Trump into a corner because now he's revealing how ugly Iran is. And he did it with a video to make sure Trump doesn't go into denial. So Netanyahu and Trump are at odds with each other. Rest assured. There are people going around saying it's a strategy and they're faking it. I don't think so. The third reason, Trump now plans to allow Saudi Arabia to build nuclear plants without conditioning it on a Abrahamic Accord deal with Israel, or recognition of Israel as a nation in some sort of diplomatic relations as a result. So he's turning his back on Israel. He did that with the Houthis because the Houthis said, well, we're going to keep attacking Israel. It's better for us now. We don't have to worry about you. And he didn't say nothing. Trump didn't say a word. Okay, the fourth reason. Trump went out and told the public that there's only 21 living hostages in Gaza from Israel. The Israeli government and media were running around saying 24. I rather well believe that Trump got this figure 21 from Israel, and then without their permission or knowledge, just disclosed it publicly. And now, after a few days, Netanyahu's sort of talking about it as being possibly true, and the survivors, the families of the hostages, are screaming like crazy in Israel. We want to know which of these three hostages are dead. It could be their relatives. And Netanyahu's not really doing much about that. The fifth reason is Netanyahu and Trump are not talking with each other now. Trump's not talking to Netanyahu. He's teaching Netanyahu a lesson by punishing Israel. And there's people still running around. Trump's a Christian. Trump's a believer. He went to the Pope's funeral, for crying out loud. He put a picture somebody else made of him dressed up as the Pope on one of his social media sites for the world to see. And you think Trump's a Christian? How naive. How naive. So Trump has turned against Israel, and you're going to see it get worse. Let me look up one of the scriptures in the daughter of Babylon, Jeremiah 50:51. This iPad's going, I'm getting all kinds of typos out of this thing. I gotta type more carefully. It might just be the sensitivity of the screen. I think that's all it is. Gosh, no matter what I do, I get typos with this thing now. Okay. Of course, Google doesn't want to show the right verses for this. They give me the wrong verses. It's almost like they've gone through this. I don't think they know enough about the Bible to do it. Let me refine the search. Um, Jeremiah, hold on, 51:24 might be it. Let's go there. And I will render unto Babylon and to all the inhabitants of Chaldea all their evil that they have done in Zion in your sight, saith the Lord. Okay? In Zion, that's us. In your sight, the word for sight is not sight, it's ayin, which means eyes. So it's saying all the evil, and what's the word for evil? Ra'ah. Bad. Let's see how Strong's nails it. Strong's is the better of them. Bad, calamity, displease, distress, stuff like that. Okay, bad stuff in your sight, in your eye, in front of you. You could say in your sight that you can see with your own eyes would be better. So now we read Trump has a plan where an American entity of some sort is going to handle food distribution in Gaza. Well, you got to have soldiers to do the food distribution there. Who are the soldiers going to be? We don't know. Israel, America. And now there's another plan flying around where America is going to take over the administration of Gaza when and if this war stops. That has to mean troops in Gaza. So it's coming. I guarantee you America is going to turn against Israel. I'm not saying Trump, I'm saying America. Trump may not be there anymore. Anything could happen to Trump. Could Trump resign? Of course. Why not? Will he? It doesn't look that way. Could Trump get sick and die? Yeah. Could Trump get assassinated? Yeah. Could Trump get impeached? Yeah. There's a lot of possibilities for Trump. Do I think he will likely get assassinated? I think prophecy indicates that. If it applies to Trump, it may apply to somebody else that takes over or something, but it looks like Trump. Trump lost patience with Netanyahu. He wasn't playing the role as a good proxy. He had independent thinking somewhere that Trump didn't like. Iran, meanwhile, is making believe that they could recover from losing the port, which will be for months, and they can't ship 80% of their oil out. See, Iran doesn't want to let on how weak they are, but they're not that weak. And I haven't heard Trump once talk about sleeper agents in America, and he was talking about it like crazy when he was campaigning to be president. And then all of a sudden he stopped talking about it. He doesn't want the people to know. He can't possibly have deported anything more than 1% of them, if even that. He hasn't sent that many people out of America. Yeah, Venezuelan gangs, he can get them, drug sellers and stuff like that. That's not so hard. That's not sleeper agents. All right, let me look at the live stream and see if I'm having questions. You can put questions in the live stream, or prayer requests or toast requests. India and Pakistan, why are they fighting? It's end times, land dispute, probably borders, who knows? Terrorist attacks. Pakistan's Muslim, and India, the leader is basically um, the Hindu country. I think World War III started already. End times, yeah, I'm talking about the end of the age, though, which is redemption. If Trump truly wanted to make America great again, what he would do is he would go and turn America into an isolationist country, which is the way it was after World War II. I'm old enough as a kid, I remember that. I remember those days. The post World War II years into the mid 60s, America was really a good country economically, but they were running around with the CIA doing overthrows and all kinds of stuff like that around the world, which was bad. But they were to a good extent isolationists. When they opened up the immigration around 65 to 67, that was what doomed America. And now you're at the end of it. That's what did it. America wasn't anywhere near that large back then. Real estate wasn't anywhere near that expensive. Okay. Gasoline, it's 17, 14, 19 cents a gallon. Even in 68, it was 25 cents a gallon. Okay. The currency wasn't gold backed anymore, but it was silver backed. Okay. You didn't have a huge welfare class in America. All right. You didn't have drugs in America to speak of. It was some obscure use in various ghettos around the country, but it was really very, very small and very, very limited. Entertainers were using it, and it was not widespread at all. And it was heavily, hard drugs. You didn't have all the problems that you have now. Their crime rate was very, very low. Okay. And America was building everything. They were growing the crops, not paying the farmers to not grow crops. They were growing the crops. They were making their own cars. Okay. Cars were cheap. In the early 50s, you were able to buy an American car for $900 or something, you know. In the 66, 67 era, you were able to get a Cadillac convertible for about $3,500. Today, something like that, if they even made it, would probably be $100,000. So it went up by about 30-fold, you know. In the 50s, even the very early 60s, houses were $2,500, $3,500. There was plenty of land. There wasn't congestion. I was in New York City. I grew up there. It was crowded and stuff, but it wasn't like it became, you know. You were able to travel freely, even at night, men, women, children. You know, it wasn't anything like it is. As you went into the 60s, people started getting televisions. In the 50s, they existed, but so few people had a television. Even in the early 60s, people still had big radios that they listened to. They didn't get into television. Even in the 60s, 11 o'clock, 11:30 at night, in New York City, the television networks used to go off the air, most of them. They would put a test pattern up. They'd play the national anthem, put a test pattern up, and that was it. And then, I don't know, 6 in the morning, 7 in the morning, they came back on. Televisions were small. They were fuzzy. They had antenna problems when it rained. When it snowed, you had a lot of interference. You couldn't tape shows that didn't exist. You didn't have on demand or stream. And, you know, sometime in the 50s, late 50s, a lot of people had TV. And they started watching the shows, and that's when they started deteriorating the morals of the country, and they started brainwashing the people, was with television. That was it. They started earlier with the motion pictures, but it didn't get that far. Television, I mean, you look at the television today and you look at it in the 50s and you compare the themes, it was night and day. You know, people used to favor more entertainment back then. You know, they had dancing, they had singing, you know. Today you watch the movies, they're all dark, you know, because they're, you know, doing things and they're saving money. They're not giving you real scenery. In the 50s, even the 60s, they filmed stuff in the great outdoors and it was bright, sunlight, cheerful, not dark and dim like it is today. Practically all of it is dark and dim. Okay? They had variety shows. People would watch trained seal acts, dogs jumping through hoops, monkeys, roller skating, gymnasts, contortionists, singers, musical instrument players, comedians, lots of things. Kids didn't have the internet. Mom stayed home. They came home from school. Mom was there. Milk and cookies, change your clothes, do your homework, and go out and play. And then they went out and played with face to face in reality with other kids, not on the internet. You see them come in here all the time with nasty, lewd remarks. What kind of parents do they have where these kids get pleasure going and insulting strangers with lewd, nasty comments in a chat, and they call that pleasurable? What kind of kids are they going to grow up to be? People worked in factories in the 50s, and they were loyal to the factory. They worked there, and then their kids would work there. And the companies in America were making quality. They gave you stuff that lasted. They made tools that were generational. You could hand them down. Today, the people buy garbage from China that falls apart. You'd be lucky to get a year or two out of a screwdriver if you use it a lot. They had garbage. They sell garbage. They sold furniture that was generational. You know? Cars were made out of heavy metal. They put real wool carpeting in them. They made seats out of real fabrics. People just sat in the cars. They didn't get buckled in. The cars were dangerous. Yeah, they were. Compared to today. They were comfortable. If you bought a big car like an Oldsmobile or a Buick or a Cadillac or a Lincoln, it was like riding around on your sofa in the street, you know? People were friends with their neighbors. You didn't have neighbors that would blast music and annoy you, and then when you complained, tell you to go fly a kite. No, people got along. People got along. They had a draft. People were going into the army. Then they got brainwashed and they were very loyal to America. But America was sort of providing for the people much more than they do today. Okay? You could be somebody like working in a supermarket, you know, arranging the groceries or something like that, and you had enough money to buy a car and to purchase a house. Those days are gone. If you went traveling and you went overseas, your money was strong. It was cheap to go overseas. I remember even in the 70s, when I was in graduate school, I knew a guy, and he was explaining to me how you can go to Italy and live there for 6 months on $5,000. 6 months, $5,000. A couple going to Italy for a week would be lucky to pull it off for $5,000. I know there were kids in the graduate school. They would go over there. It was a thing. They'd go to France or Italy or something, and they'd go over there and they'd stay there for like 6 months. They'd get a room in a hotel where you had maid service. They didn't really rent an apartment. because they were never in the room that much, and they would hang around, go to the beach, hang out in the piazza, most of these guys liked their alcohol, and they would sit around in outside cafes and drink and beers and, they out at night, out during the day. And they run 6 months like that, and they travel all over Europe from Italy. Trump's got a long road against him. Trump, at the end of 4 years, I would be surprised if he got more than 10, 15% of the illegals out of America. 20% maybe. Trump's backpedaling with Iran. Trump understands if he attacks Iran, American warships are going to get hit, bases are going to get hit, the oil refineries and the ports and piers of the oil-selling countries in the Middle East are going to get hit, and there's going to be economic chaos, and he's going to catch the blame. So he signed a free trade agreement with the UK, 10% tariff or something. Well, let's see him sign some more trade agreements. I'd like to see that. I haven't seen it yet. Let's see. I'm not so sure that he's going to be able to do that. He seems to be softening with China, but, he says a few days ago, anybody who buys Chinese oil, that country is not going to be able to do business with America. What does he say yesterday? I'm putting sanctions on all the Chinese companies that buy Iranian oil. Well, do you think the Chinese companies care? They don't. Do you think China cares about that? They don't. So the oil flow from Iran to China is not going to be interrupted, except by the destruction of their ports and piers. Which Israel did, I'm sure. Okay. We got a prayer request for SB, Sierra Bravo, SB, Sierra Bravo. Prayer is for guidance, direction, leading, dealing with family and business matters. SB, prayer for guidance, leading, and direction, dealing with family and business matters. EV, Echo Victor, EV, Echo Victor. Prayer is for healing teeth from inflammation and infection for Echo Victor. I'm going to take a fast break. I'll be right back. So what you guys need to understand, the only way Trump can win against Iran, and he very likely will do this because Bible prophecy says it will, in Jeremiah 49, Iran doesn't appear in the Bible. That word is not used. It's called Elam back then, Elam. And it gets devastated so bad that the people have to leave the country, scatter into every single nation in the world where the sword follows them and cuts them off. And that's what they want for Israel. But it happens to Iran. Very interesting. Church never talks about that. Jeremiah 49. Go read it. It's never happened in the past. This thing with India and Pakistan can bring on a World War III. Don't kid yourself. Ukraine just captured another city in Russia in the Kursk region. And Russia can't get rid of them, can't get them out. Did they give us a line of garbage all these years telling us how tough Russia is? I think so. Senator Lindsey Graham and Tom Cotton plan to propose a bill that prohibits Iran from enriching uranium and demanding that any security pact with Saudi Arabia includes normalization with Israel, which Trump has no intention of asking Saudi Arabia to do. I doubt they'll stop Trump. I really doubt it. We have another bushfire or wildfire in Miami, Florida, in Dade County, and they closed some roads, I think, regarding to the Everglades. It looks like it can be serious. I'm not sure yet. It's new. The prepper survivalist channels, those guys are now saying yesterday when the India-Pakistan war lit up that they're not picking up any what they call EAMs, emergency action messages, which is typically aircraft communicating with the ground, Echo Bravo Zulu 245 Victor Mike, and they say these are nuclear codes, these are this, these are that. Now all of a sudden things heated up with India and Pakistan, and it all stops. They're not getting any EAMs. Why? Because the EAMs aren't really that important. Now they're probably transmitting messages, I'm guessing at this, but I think I probably have it right, that these characters can't pick up on their ham radios or whatever they listen in on. Why? Because they're going off on different frequencies of bandwidths that these characters can't pick up, or they're heavily encrypted, or they're burst messages. where they compress the message and there's brrr, and then the receiver, it comes, a 20-second or 30-second message comes in 2 seconds. And they just think it's static or something, and then the aircraft can interpret it. Something like that. I don't know exactly which approach they're using, but believe me, EAMs didn't stop. They upgraded to a higher level of communication that these characters can't pick up. There's entire channels in social media. All they do is play EAM messages. For years we've been hearing about the solar flares and how dangerous they're going to be. And, think back in the last 50 years, what's happened with a solar flare? I mean, any catastrophes? What's happened? Nothing. Nothing serious. It's clickbait. I started listening to the solar flares years ago. And then after about 10 times of them warning us about a solar flare and nothing ever happened, I came to the conclusion it's a waste of time. It's nonsense. Clickbait. Huckabee, who's supposed to be so pro-Israel, right? Another churchianity figurehead, right? He told Israel, and he said it publicly, that the U.S. is not obligated to consult with Israel regarding the ceasefire with the Houthis. Trump's great friend of Israel. The Houthis are making a monkey out of Trump. You know that. They're saying that he surrendered to the Houthis. They're passing around the picture of the Houthi leader in uniform standing by Trump, kneeling down on all fours with his military boot on Trump's back. I wonder if the American media will pick that up and run that. I doubt it. They should. To show how they're making a monkey out of Trump. Trump can destroy Iran, but it says her enemies get her, which may mean America, it may mean Israel, but it's plural. It may mean other countries. We don't know yet. If he destroys Iran, he's going to destroy Iran by ruining the country, not the underground bunkers. And at the same time he does that, Iran's going to be launching missiles, drones at all kinds of targets, and the warships are going to go to work against Trump's warships. It's going to be pretty ugly. Sooner or later, the sleeper agents in America are going to rise up. You got to accept that reality. When people do spiritual warfare against the leaders of these countries, what happens is nothing. Unless God wants it to. You can't do spiritual warfare against God's will. But in the past years, we've done it. And what happens is the countries get scared. The leaders aren't able to communicate with their unclean spirits like they did in the past. And they just don't do anything. That's what you get. Satan's the God of this age. We're still in the age. We haven't hit redemption yet. So I found two sites this morning that seem to teach about the churches very, very much the way I do. But I haven't had time to fully explore what all they're doing. And I don't know where they're at with prophecy, where they're at with Israel. They're, from my poking around briefly with them, it appears that they don't have a sense of prophecy. They just know the church isn't right. One of them said there's 45,000 divisions in the church world. That's a denomination, a sedition, if you will, a division. And I thought there were 3,500. I didn't know where they came up with a figure like that. Maybe they're right. I don't know. I really don't know. They could be right. Is the Iran-Pakistan war going to affect Europe and America or Israel? Not in the beginning, no. It's when it gets bad that the other countries get involved that it will. Trump is now friends with Ukraine. He made that minerals and metals deal. Giving them weapons in return for future profits from the metals and minerals, and $50 billion worth. And, you know, Putin's pulling his hair out. North Korea is threatening to send 40, 50,000 soldiers to help Russia. I think they said they were going to. That's a lot of soldiers. They'll probably be converted to cannon fodder, though. They're not very effective. Unless perhaps Russia and China sent trainers to North Korea a few months ago, and they've been training these troops to make them more up to snuff in the Ukraine battlefield. That's a possibility. Trump hasn't moved the warships out of the Middle East, which is curious. Probably he intends to go to war after his Middle East tour. In Trump's first term, he had his children active in the government all over the place. Now, you don't hear anything about his children. It's really like they don't exist. That's interesting. You hear almost nothing coming out of Joe Biden. Same for Obama. Bitcoin is up. It's selling at $100,000 for one Bitcoin. When it started many years ago, it was $1. It's backed by nothing. And when the internet goes down, Bitcoin goes down. Very bad investment. One of the reasons it's so high now is Bitcoin will stay high, it'll fluctuate, it'll stay high, and then when the internet cables start getting cut, that'll be the end of it. Those sites that are teaching against the church like me, I did reach out to them. I'll see if they contact me. I don't know. There's an outside chance that they're SBOTs trying to pull the people that are pulling away from the church in and get them in under the doctrines of Satan, but it doesn't have that ring to it at all. I don't think that's it at all. It could be, but I don't think so. Okay. Let's see what the price of gold is. The stock market rallied because Trump said he made a deal with the UK at 10% tariffs. He's probably telling it true. And then he went ahead and told people to buy equity, buy stocks. You got commodities like, corn, orange pulp, and pork, and, oil. Then you got futures where you're guessing on the future value of currency. You got bonds, you got options. And then you have the equity, which you actually buy the stock. So you're a stockholder in the company. That's why they call it equity. It's not going anywhere. It's in the 33s. That's where they want it to stay for a while. Silver's performing a little bit. It's 33, 32.46. Getting a little performance out of silver. The American dollar, I'm told, bounced back in value to some extent, but I don't think it's very strong yet. It may grow. Let's see. Someone says we can make heaven on earth. Yeah, right. Oh, Canada. The Krugerrands, the gold coins are very good. The place to have money now is gold and silver. The banks are going to fail when the eggs hit the fan, as will the markets and everything. And the currencies all around the world are just paper. Gold and silver is the real answer. But you have to be careful about that. They could be more easily stolen. They could be a little on the heavy side for transportation, depending how much you have. But your odds of coming out ahead with that are much higher than paper money. Paper money all around the world is going to fail. People have asked me if they think America will invade Canada. I do not believe they would ever do that. I think Canada will align itself with China, Russia, possibly North Korea, if it hasn't done so already. And they'll put military in there to give Canada an air of protection against Trump. They will then use Canada to invade the daughter of Babylon, America. And that's in the scriptures from the uttermost part, which is Alaska. I think the enemy soldiers come in from the north, which would have to be Canada. So, yeah, I don't see America invading Canada. I see the other countries probably being invited in to build military installations there to protect them, protect Canada from Trump. We don't know what Trump will do. See, making America great again, Trump has a conflict of interest with the people. He's trying to triple or quadruple his money. So if America gets built up, his stakes and all the investments he has, real estate mostly, he doesn't buy factories and stuff like that or make motion pictures. He does real estate. And they'll soar. And so will he. We don't ever hear him talk about the gold in Fort Knox, do we? No. Why? He's saving it for some reason, right? He never told the American people that he audited it and the gold's all there, and he never said he didn't and the gold's not there. Isn't that sick? And people keep worshiping him. But you know, a lot of people have fallen away from Trump, and they don't really think he's any good. They're waking up now, you know. You can do spiritual warfare on the world leaders. It's really good to do it when they start fighting. You know, you've got to, now you remember I have a Telegram site on spiritual warfare with all the scriptures and breakdown and everything. And if you want it, just send me an email and write Telegram spiritual warfare, and I'll send you the invite link. My email address is in the chat. It's the lowest line down in the description box. and I'll read it off. It's Israel Giving, one word, Israel with AEL, Israel Giving with the digit 7 after it at gmail.com. Israel Giving with the number 7 at gmail.com. And just, you know, tell me you want the Telegram site for spiritual warfare, and I'll send you the invite link. You do need to get the Telegram app. I think maybe you can use it with just a browser. I'm not sure anymore. And the link is free, and the app is free. The whole thing is free. Telegram Messenger. Okay, just send me an email, and I'll send you the link for that. I also have a Telegram news site, which gets updated 4, 5, 6 times a day, and has the latest news and a lot of good news and some analysis from me. I get a lot of the news from, its origins are Arabic social media, Hebrew social media, and coming from other countries. So you get a pretty good spread of what's going on. Yeah, the spiritual warfare works long distance, and you can conduct it against the world leaders, against the generals, the commanders, the legislatures, the Congress, the parliament, the legislatures. And you could have a good time with that. Throw them into confusion and derision. If you want to, you can do it. There's nothing they can do about it. Nor can the unclean spirits retaliate. Now, if you're tossing, let's say, somebody that's your boss at work, and they figure out it's you, well, they could fire you and make your life miserable there. That's not the unclean spirits getting even. That's a person. Right now, what I'm noticing is people are having a lot of stress in their life. Okay? And this was also the case, going back, 6, 7, 8 years ago, but it seems to be a lot worse. And more people are getting, their decision making process isn't working. You have to pay attention to who you're fellowshipping with. People that are preaching the other gospel, you shouldn't fellowship with these people, because they're preaching lies in the name of the Bible, and that's not what the Bible says. You got to watch that. Okay? You got to be very careful about that. People in many countries, well, particularly, India has people that are churchianity, and are they going to be able to believe that what's going to happen to them? God says he's going to destroy all the nations he scattered the Israelites into. He said this in Jeremiah 30, verse 11, and he said it in Jeremiah 46, verse 28, and it looks like it's starting, and they are going to be reluctant to believe it. I don't know, how to help these people. Generally speaking, first thing is fear is not coming from faith or love. It's coming from a lack of faith. All things work to good for those who love the Lord. So that's your love and that's your faith together. Do you believe? If you believe that, you just should be sitting back in awe and watching and waiting for it to happen. Okay? Even excited in a positive way. But if you're running in fear, see, the people that are in fear of their countries getting destroyed are the ones that likely you're going to see turn against Yeshua and Jehovah. They're not really in the gospel. They're not really in the faith. They're in the faith. They're in the gospel as long as it's convenient. I've got a job. I got my house. I got my SUV. I got my internet. I got my air conditioning. I got this. I got that. The refrigerator's full. Yeah, I'm a believer. But if any of that starts getting upset, well, now they're not a believer. Now comes leave the country you're in, come to Israel, and that's something they don't want to do. What do you mean, leave my country? Well, have you read about Lot and Sodom and what happened when his wife looked back? She didn't make it. Okay? So what do you think is going to happen to you? Well, you'll stay in your own country and perish there. And you're not going to go to a good place. See, that's the problem. People think they can do these different doctrinal statements and tell you, well, we're pre-tribulation rapture, but, Harry over here, he's mid-trib rapture, and Steve, he's post-trib rapture, but hey, we don't really know, so we accept each other's doctrines as valid anyway. Well, that, of course, puts confusion and derision into the church and heresies because they're forming specific cults or specific denominations that believe a certain way. And others don't, yet they all treat them as acceptable, okay? And that's not the way the Bible works. The churches are going to fall apart. These guys I was listening to this morning, where one of them even said that he wouldn't be surprised if they lynched their pastors. They'll be so mad at him. Well, I don't think the pastors and them are going to be around for that, but it could be. But the churches are about to fall apart. Their house is built on sand, and the storms are on the way. And when the church realizes, particularly America and the American church realizes their country's being attacked, i.e., it is the daughter of Babylon, in Jeremiah 50:51 and Isaiah 47, and their pastors never told them they're going to be finished. What happens when the churches fall apart? Well, the people are going to stop attending. What are they going to do? Depending on the level of chaos, they're going to try to figure out what's going on. So I'm telling people, you don't believe my teachings on the prophecy now, file it away. And when you see this stuff start to happen, then go revisit it, and perhaps you'll be in the elect instead of those spreading a false gospel and talking about another Jesus. 2 Corinthians 11:4. They have another Jesus, they have another gospel, and they receive another spirit. You don't believe me now? File it away. You're not going to have a long wait, days, weeks, something like that. You're not going to have a long wait. Certainly not years. Probably, maybe a very, very small amount of months. But, you know, file it away. I mean, it's as it's getting closer and closer, you know. We got earthquakes up, volcanoes, columns of smoke, that's up. We have I'm getting spiritually attacked. Please go to work on that, guys, and pray that the Lord lifts it. I don't want to go into a whole spiritual warfare diatribe during the broadcast, but go to work on that and stay at work on it like endless solid work. There's some wise guys trying to do this. And ask the Lord to punish them as what they're trying to do to me happens to them, that they would reap what they sow, but have the Lord do it. Now, sometimes in life you'll see people that are false believers hit a brick wall with their health. Okay? Other problems, the Satan bot could get help from the other Satan bots, like economic and business, and even legal problems, they could get help. But when you're talking about health, they have no help. Satan never heals. He can't heal. He can't raise the dead. He can't heal. Forget it. He can't do it. So they get into bad health problems. I've even seen them die. They just go about their merry way with witchcraft, sorcery, spells, enchantments, curses, and the demons keep patting them on the back, and they keep thinking the demons are their friends, and then all of a sudden they get chronically ill and they don't recover. Sometimes they recover. I knew one who was going after me, and then he wound up in the hospital and lost 40 pounds. He was in there for 6 weeks. They get it. It just depends what they want to do. See, Satan tries to teach them how far they can go. What Satan doesn't really know, and Satan doesn't care about them because he just replaces them with another piece of spiritual cannon fodder. And they don't know how far they can go. Okay? Now we see people that aren't Satan bots, that are believers, get sick. Why? Well, could they be getting punished for sins because we're so close to redemption? And it says, Jeremiah 30, verse 11, I will not leave you altogether unpunished. Possible. You'd have to know the individual very well, which I don't, to understand that. Is it possible that they're doing things incorrectly and they're not dealing with it, like incorrect fellowship? Don't know. See, I don't know. Can it be that they have some behavior that they're not supposed to have, that they keep doing, and they don't stop, and they know it, but they shine it under the rug? Yeah. Could it be a doctrinal problem and they keep spreading it? Yeah. It's very hard to know what's going on. Can the sick call for the elders and they'll come to the house and anoint them with oil and pray over him, and he'll confess his sins or her sins, and the Lord will raise them up, which doesn't mean an immediate healing. Raise up means they're not going to die, they're going to recover and get better. Well, we don't have that exactly. We do it by prayer request. We could take it to an extreme and say, well, get a bottle of olive oil, anoint yourself in our name. But We don't have elders, we don't have a congregation, and that's going, I think, too far. Okay? So we don't have that. There are no congregations now. We're still in the punishment days. Still, Israel, the unsaved part of Israel, not the remnant, their eyes are closed and their ears are stopped up. Okay? It's at redemption with the appearing of Yeshua in the clouds that they come out of it. That's when it comes off. Not till then. So I can't always answer what's going on with sickness because I'm not there physically with you. I don't know you. I don't know what you do. I communicate over the internet, and that's it. It's limited, you know. And at the same time, we have a lot of healings, not only for the people that are subscribers, but for the people in their life, relatives, friends, neighbors. You know, a lot of animals getting healed too. And, you know, so I don't know exactly, you know, what all's going on, but I do know we have a lot of answered prayers, and prayers are free. If you want to put out a prayer request, you could email it to me, give me the two initials of the person you want the prayer for, or the two initials of the person you want tossed. Now, when you're praying for unbelievers, the most intelligent thing to do is to approach them first and say, there's this prayer group on the internet. Might have hundreds of people pray for you. Would you like me to put in a prayer request to see if Yeshua and his father and or his father Jehovah will heal you? We're really asking Jehovah in Yeshua's name. And if they say no, well, no is no. If they say yes, then if they get healed, they're going to figure it out that God healed them. Of course, you could push that forward, but if you don't tell them and you just bring it back and they get healed, what happens? Wow, that was a good doctor. Boy, that medicine really worked good. What a great surgery. You see, that's what you're going to get. Okay? Yeshua healed all that came to him, but they came to him. He didn't run them down, run up behind them on the road and say, wait a minute, hold up. Would you like to get healed? You know, he wasn't doing that. He healed all who came to him. God doesn't give us signs and wonders now because if he did, then the Israelites may turn to him before the punishment is over. In Hosea 6, 1 and 2, the 2 days, 1,000 years is like a day, 2,000 years roughly. I don't think it's a precise, highly accurate figure because the way it was phrased, 2 days. But I think Peter told us 1,000 years is like a day unto the Lord, so we would interpret Hosea 6, 1 and 2 correctly. And he doesn't want them turning to him before the time and getting healed so the punishment doesn't get carried out. So the Lord has a remnant that he chose from amongst the Israelites that have the gospel. Just like he found a lot of people living in the nations and they have turned to the gospel. But straight and narrow is the way, and few be to find it. Broad and wide is the road to destruction, and many find it. And, you know, a lot of people don't understand that preaching against Yeshua and teaching it to others and spreading it around is antichrist. Yeah. The beast isn't the Antichrist. The beast is an entity in the pit, and he comes up through the sea in Revelation 13. Okay? That's not an Antichrist. And the New Testament says, even today, there are many Antichrists amongst you. Well, there's a lot of Antichrists teaching us false doctrine today, calling themselves the church, telling the people that they're in the church, not Israel, but we stand by Israel. So what does the Bible say? All Israel shall be saved. And the devil laughs at these people for saying, no, we're not Israel, we're the church. Well, he knows what God thinks of the church. Let me give you a couple of instances here that are rather strong examples, but what happened to me here? Oh, wrong. No. What the heck? I'm hitting my Bible. Oh, here it is. But what am I getting this for? I gotta get rid of this split screen if I can. Hold on a second. No, it's not going away. I hate this split screen thing. For a while, you couldn't get rid of it. Now you can. Oh, I think I see it. Let's see. Did I get it? Yeah. Oh, I hate this split screen thing. It's a joke. I'm really learning to dislike Apple products, let me tell you. Let me find the key phrase here. If any man shall add unto these things, oh, let's go to the whole verse. Revelation 22:18. For I testify unto every man that heareth the words of the prophecy of this book. If any man shall add unto these things, God shall add unto him the plagues that are written in this book. So you may see a lot of people get very sick. And if any man shall take away from the words of the book of this prophecy, God shall take away his part out of the book of life and out of the holy city and from the things which are written in this book. He which testify these things saith, surely I come quickly, amen. Even so, come, Lord Jesus. The grace of our Lord Yeshua HaMashiach be with you at all. But that was another verse. Let me find it. I was looking for it. But that tells you a lot about them preaching another gospel. That's super evil. And that's why Satan has them do it. Verse 7, Revelation 22, behold, I come quickly. Blessed is he that keepeth the sayings of the prophecy of this book. And I, John, saw these things and heard them. And when I had heard and seen, I fell down to worship before the feet of the angel which showed me these things. Then saith he unto me, See thou do it not, for I am thy fellow servant and of thy brethren the prophets, and of them which keep the sayings of this book. Worship God. Pretty interesting who he is. And he saith unto me, Seal not the sayings of the prophecy of this book, for the time is at hand. He that is unjust, let him be unjust still. And he which is filthy, let him be filthy still. And he that is righteous, let him be righteous still. And he that is holy, let him be holy. And behold, I come quickly, and my reward is with me, to give every man according to his work shall be. I am Alpha and Omega, the beginning and the end, the first and the last. Blessed are they that do his commandments, that they may have right to the tree of life and may enter in through the gates into the city. For without are dogs and sorcerers and whoremongers and murderers and idolaters and whosoever loveth and maketh a lie. So if you're going to preach the false gospel, you're an antichrist. You're against Christ because you're contradicting his teachings. Let me give you a prime example here. John 6:39. See, they don't really believe the Bible. You got to understand that, the churches, because they don't listen to it. They think they do, but they listen to man. Why would they listen to man over the book? Because they don't really understand the book. And this is the Father's will. Now, this is Jehovah's will. And they preach against it. Are they not antichrist? Let me finish reading. And this is the Father's will which hath sent me, that of all which he has given me, I should lose nothing. Well, they'll agree with that. But should raise it up again at the last day. Next verse, verse 40. And this is the will of him that sent me, that every one which seeth the Son and believeth on him may have everlasting life. They don't even know what that is. That's Zechariah 12:10. And I will raise him up at the last day. So Yeshua twice here told us that all the believers get raised up on the same day at the last day. The last day means there's no more days. Revelation 20. Satan's, after the millennium is over, you're in the 8th day, Satan's released. gathers them like the sand of the sea to surround Jerusalem. New Jerusalem, Father God, Jehovah, comes down from heaven and burns them up. In Zechariah 12, they surround Judah and Jerusalem, the land now. This is going to be happening in the next few days or weeks or something. Very, very short. Not years, not many months. The siege is already in place. And the two witnesses burn them up. Okay? Then you see in Gog and Magog, they get burned up again. Their eyes melt in their socket or they get destroyed. And then the animals eat their flesh. And then at the end of it all, Father God Jehovah comes down, burns the whole universe up. There's no place to stand. We meet him in the air, go up on the clouds to heaven for eternity. Okay, that's what the believers do. There's no pre-trib, mid-trib, post-trib rapture. They don't believe in all three. They believe either pre-trib, either mid-trib, or either post-trib. And they all accept the other's beliefs as more or less something we should put up with because nobody really knows the truth. Well, I just read you the truth. You want me to read you 2 more verses where Yeshua tells it to you? They reject this. They don't care what Yeshua said. They don't care. They have another Jesus. They care what that Jesus says. No man can come to me except the Father which had sent me draw him, and I will raise him up at the last day. So it's very likely that the Father has never drawn these people to Yeshua because they reject this teaching. Got it? John 6:50. So Satan's running around getting those that are called but not chosen and messing with their heads in the church. That's all that's going on, as I see it. You all came out of the church. So did I. Whoso eateth, and it could be others in there that need to come out, for sure. Whoso, it's very possible. Whoso eateth my flesh and drinketh my blood, communion, hath eternal life, and I will raise him up at the last day. So they're teaching pure poppycock, garbage, junk, lies. They perpetrate lies. Okay? That's it. The whole thing with them is, in a blink of an eye, we're going to get whisked up to heaven. You know, we're going to go up, we're going to have beautiful glowing robes, our clothes will be laying on the floor, and we're going to spend 7 years in heaven celebrating the marriage feast of the Lamb. That happens when New Jerusalem comes down, nincompoops. It's not up in heaven. You ain't going up there. Everybody goes up there on the same day, the last day, which means there's no more days. That's what it means. You see, the hidden meaning, it's not very well hidden at all, but the truer meaning of the last day is the Feast of Tabernacles, tabernacling. You're tabernacling with God. You're hanging out with God. Who's in New Jerusalem? Yeshua is enthroned there, along with the glory of God of Israel. They both sit there. So you are tabernacling with God in a different way now, a much closer way, extremely much closer. Okay? And that's your 1,000 years. It's the 7th day. Now in tabernacles, after the 7th-day holiday is over, they have the next day. People call it the next great day, but the word great's gadol, and it's not in the Bible. So the next day. So when the millennium is over, the 7th day, so to speak, you go into the 8th day, which is the last day of the Feast of Tabernacles, and you're tabernacling with God in New Jerusalem. Now, I don't know how long it's going to take for Satan to do the corruption of the nations, because he just gets released after the 1,000 years is over. I imagine as a minimum it would take him 40 years to corrupt that many people. It may take 80 or 120 years. But we're still in New Jerusalem. We're still in paradise. We're still in bliss. It's just that we've gone from the seventh day into the eighth day, or from the 7,000 year to the 8,000 year. That's all it means. They never teach this. They don't even know this exists. They teach the law is dead. Yeshua said, Matthew 5:18, as long as there's a heaven and an earth, not one jot or tittle shall be done away with from the law. They did away with all of it. You can't change the Sabbath because it's a day you're not supposed to work, because that's the day after Jehovah made the creation, the world, the universe, whatever you want to call it. He rested. And he made that day a holy day, and we're supposed to rest and not work on the seventh day. The day he rested can't be changed, so the Sabbath can't be changed. You can't change it to Sunday. But if you were Satan and you wanted to trick the people, and you gave him a Jesus, which is really the sun god, which is probably Satan, then you'd have the worship day Sun God Day, or you would abbreviate it to Sunday instead of Sun God Day. You'd say Sun Day, and that's what they do with the singing Christmas trees, the violation of Jeremiah 10 by taking a tree and putting the silver and the gold tinsel on it. Oh, and they put an angel on the top of the tree, and then they give people presents. Yeshua couldn't have been born December 25th. I live here, the weather, the whole thing's not right. That's not when he was born. And the sun god Tammuz, the other Jesus in the church, who's his mother? Easter, Esther. And they celebrate Esther Day too. It's called Easter. Where did you ever read in the New Testament that the apostles were running around wearing crosses, putting them on buildings, putting them on Bible covers, putting them up in front of the meeting place and having people come up to a piece of wood, kneel down and start crying and praying while they're kneeling to a piece of wood? Is that correct, or is that idolatry? It's idolatry. So is it really going to be that a lot of these people are going to wake up and know what's going on? No. They're going to wake up and know they've been fed a line of malarkey, but they're not going to know what the truth is because God's not calling them to the Son, Yeshua, unless he decides to draw him to Yeshua, then they'll understand. But if that's not the case, they're never going to understand. It's one thing to learn the church is a cock and bull story. It's another thing to learn what the true gospel is. They're not the same thing. You know, people that are atheists don't go to the church. They think it's a cock and bull story, but they don't go to Yeshua either. You got it? You got it? So we think and believe that these people are believers that are just deceived. They're not. They're not. And you're not supposed to fellowship with these people. It's the Antichrist church. All of them, all the denominations, all of it. They teach against the Bible. Yeshua is the Word made flesh. They teach against Yeshua. It's anti-Yeshua, anti-Christ. Christ means Mashiach. Christ comes from Christos. Christ is Greek. Christos is Latin. And the Hebrew is Mashiach. Means anointed or Messiah, they say, right? So they're anti-Messiah. You got it? Or anti the anointed Yeshua. That's what they are. Because if you teach different than Yeshua taught, you're going like this with Yeshua. It's oil and water. You're against him. They don't teach Zechariah 12, the siege. They don't teach the everlasting life when you see Yeshua in the clouds. Oh yeah, he appears in the clouds on the way down to earth. You know, everything's Gog and Magog, Gog and Magog, Gog and Magog. You know, they're so lost. And you know, they're the tares and the wheat in Matthew 13. They're the tares, the wheat is the true believers. And at the end of the age, the angels come and root up the tares and tie them in bundles, awaiting to be burned in the fire, which is the lake of fire after they go to judgment. It's sad. It's really sad. Why doesn't God stop it? Because the chosen are not in it. Generally, he was going to pull them out. He pulled us out. Probably more to get pulled out. I can't guarantee you that is the case. I don't know. I think it is the case. I can't guarantee it. How can I guarantee it? I'm not him. I'm not the Father. The time for the church to start falling apart could be literally this week, next week, the week after. Literally, I mean, I don't mean as a figure of speech. I mean, as soon as they start seeing stuff go bad and they're not up in the rapture, they're going to have had it. Okay? Now, where is the church big? In Europe, but not that big in Europe. Okay? In Africa, yeah. Same rotten churches. In the Middle East, no. No, not much at all. Very, 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 very small. In Central South America, the churchianity is very big. In America, North America, very big. In Asia, some places. Where in Asia? Well, South Korea has a lot of churchianity. That's not the truth. When I say churchianity, it's not the true gospel. It's the false churches, the Antichrist churches. Okay, they're there. Okay, they're not much in China. There's Taiwan has it. Japan. Taiwan has a bunch. Japan, not so much. It has it, but not much. North Korea, probably nothing or next to nothing or something, you know, very small. Antarctica, nobody really lives there, just government employees, you know. So, when stuff starts happening to the United States and Europe, it's going to be interesting. But it takes a long time to study prophecy and put the pieces together. It really does. It's not so quick. And that's not a good time to start learning. But it's the best they're going to get. It's the best they're going to get, so maybe they'll come out of it. I don't know. I really don't know. And I know a lot of you have friends and family in the church. And, you know, you could try to teach them the truth. You could witness to them. You could cancel the witchcraft spells, enchantments on them, toss the people in their church. But you see, if they're not called or drawn to Yeshua by Jehovah, all the spiritual warfare is going to get them off the church, but it's not going to get them into Yeshua. You can't draw them to Yeshua. Father God Jehovah does. Does it not say you and your whole house shall be saved? Yes. What do I think that means? The house would mean those that are under the same roof as you. Does it mean children that don't live under your roof anymore? I don't know. I don't know the answer to that. They would still be your house, but they're not in it. Children and spouses living in the house with you, I would say for sure are under that. So when we have redemption, could it also be that those So it's a very hard one to understand. It could very well mean your family, your kids and their families and all that stuff could get saved. I don't know the answer to that. But it happened when they were in jail, and then the jailer, you know, they told the jailer, don't worry, and then he went to the jailer's house and his whole family became believers. So it could happen. It could happen. I don't know. Not sure. They never teach the end of the age, do they? Nah. If they do mention it, they're going to talk about New Jerusalem being the end of the age. So what is it? Mark 10:30, I think we can look at for that. I think that's the scripture. Let's check it out, if I'm right. You got to go up a verse or so. Let's see. We'll go to Mark 10:29. And Yeshua answered and said, verily I say unto you, there is no man that hath left house or brethren or sisters or father or mother or wife or children or lands for my sake and for the gospel's, but he shall receive 100-fold now in this time houses and brethren and sisters and mothers and children and lands with persecutions, and in the age to come. It's not, doesn't say world, that's a mistranslation. It's ion, AION. The word for world is cosmos, and it's completely wrong. It's age. In the age to come, eternal life. Well, does it really say eternal life? No, it says everlasting. Okay? And again, where do you see this happening? You see it in Zechariah 12, verse 10. I'll read it to you. And I will pour upon the house of David and upon the inhabitants of Jerusalem the spirit of grace and of supplication. So he pours the spirit out on them. Is it fair to say now these people are saved? Of course. He pours the spirit out on unbelievers or something? And then what happens? The spirit of grace and of supplications, and they shall look upon me whom they have pierced, and they shall mourn for him as one mourneth for his only son, and shall be in bitterness for him as one that is in bitterness for his firstborn. They see Yeshua. What happens when you see Yeshua? Okay, 1 John 3:2. Beloved, now are the sons of God, now are we the sons of God, and it doth not yet appear what we shall be, But we know that when he shall appear, not return to earth, appear in the clouds, we shall be like him, for we shall see him as he is. What am I talking about? Well, many scriptures, but for instance, Matthew 24, is it also 30? I think so. And then shall appear the sign, the miraculous sign, of the Son of Man in heaven. And then shall the tribes of the land mourn. That's Zechariah 12. You see them all mourning. They shall see the Son of Man coming in the clouds of heaven with power and great glory. And he shall send his angels with a great sound of a trumpet, and they shall gather together his elect from the four winds, from one end of heaven to the other. And that's your Matthew 13, the tares, when the angels root up the bad ones, and then they gather the wheat, the good ones, into his barn, which is Israel. Now let's read John 6:40. And this is the will of him that sent me. Every one which seeth the Son and believeth on him may have everlasting life, and I will raise him up again. I will raise him up at the last day. So back to Zechariah 12:10. And I will pour upon the house of David and upon the inhabitants of Jerusalem the spirit of grace and of supplications, and they shall look upon me. So he pours his spirit out on Israel, out on them in Israel, and then they see him, and then they have everlasting life, which is not immortality. The word is for everlasting is olam. It means off into the future for an indefinite time. Before the flood, they lived 900 something years. Now, what is this Zechariah 12 talking about? Verse 2, behold, I will make Jerusalem a cup of trembling unto all the people round about. So it's the people round about that are trembling, they're shaking, they're so scared. When they shall be in the siege, both against Judah and against Jerusalem. That's the land we have now. They're surrounding us and attacking us with missiles, shooting, drones, not invading. Okay. So who's attacking us now? Well, Hezbollah in Lebanon, Hamas in Gaza, they're pretty deactivated right now, but they were. Syria deactivated right now, but they were. Iraq not doing it now, but they did. Saudi Arabia not yet, but they will. Jordan not yet, but they will. Yemen and Iran attacked us, and Yemen attacks us. Do you think we're in the siege? What do you think? Of course. Why doesn't your schmuck pastor teach you this? Because he's an antichrist. He doesn't want you getting drawn to Israel and then getting saved. And in that day will I make Jerusalem a burdensome stone for all the people. All that burden themselves with it shall be cut in pieces, though all the people of the earth are gathered together, of the land, are gathered together against it. Even the ones in Israel don't even talk about this prophecy. In that day, saith Jehovah, I will smite every horse with astonishment and his rider with madness. Now, we think these are modern weapons described this way. It's probably the case. But maybe for some reason when this happens, the weapons are gone and it is literal. You got to leave your mind open to that. It could be, I don't know for sure. Let's pray about that. Ask the Lord to show it to me and I'll show it to everybody. Let's do that, okay? If the horses and stuff is a literal, because the weapons are no more, or it is actually describing the weapons in a way that would be suitable for way back when it was written. And his rider with madness, and I will open my eyes upon the house of Judah, And that's the end of the 2,000-year punishment. And will smite every horse of the people with blindness. And the judges, not governor, the judges of Judah shall say in their heart, the inhabitants of Jerusalem shall be my strength in Jehovah of hosts. It's really saying, they twisted this, and saying the inhabitants of Jerusalem's strength will be in the Lord of hosts, their Elohim. In that day will I make the judges of Judah like an earth of fire among the wood, and like a torch of fire in a sheaf, and they shall devour all the people round about on the right hand and on the left, and Jerusalem shall be inhabited again in her own place, even in Jerusalem. So, who do you know that has fire coming out of their mouth? You see, it says judges. It's talking of the judges. Judges are prophets. The two witnesses are prophets. It's the two witnesses, fire coming out of their mouth. What's so hard to understand? And then what does it say? And it says he saves them. And then, you go down to verse 11, and it says, in that day shall there be a great mourning in Jerusalem, and the mourning of Hebron in the valley of Megiddo. So the whole country mourns Yeshua. They didn't do that when they killed him. Where else are you seeing scriptures? You see, they're keeping the church world completely ignorant of this. Revelation 1:7. Behold, he cometh with clouds, and every eye shall see him, and they also which pierced him, right out of Zechariah 12:10. And all the kindreds, all the tribes of the land shall wail or mourn because of him. Even so, amen. See, it's all there. Why do you think they don't teach it to you? Because they hate your ever-loving guts. They're Antichrist. That's why. Church of the Antichrist. And you wonder why bad things happen to you. Years ago, when we were coming out of the churches in the 90s in droves, we were all saying we were called out of the church, which is true. And we were all saying, because I was communicating with people like that on the internet back then, and everybody was saying, that things got better for them when they left the church. But to these people that think they're saved and not, they cling to the church. That's all they got. They don't have God. They don't have Yeshua. They don't have the Ruach HaKodesh. They don't have their Bible. They don't really understand it. They own one. They don't really understand it, and they're not about to follow it, so they cling to the church, who really doesn't care too much about what they do unless they start getting extreme, Like if they're putting ads on TV, for a massage parlor, and they go to the church and people know they go, maybe they'll say something, but it'd have to be extreme before they say something. Prayer request. I really don't know this person or know what's going on, but LM is asking for prayer about a 6-month-old son that was taken away from this person. LM Lima Mike wants a prayer request for a 6-month-old son taken away from them. I have no idea what happened, but we'll put the prayer request out. There it is. Everyone goes to heaven. Dream on. So the end of the age, and then there's everlasting life, shows you the next stage. And now I show you when the everlasting life comes in Zechariah 12:10. And you see the siege is already in progress here in Israel. Now the judges. Let me show you about the judges running Israel in Isaiah 1. But I need a fast break, and I'll be right back. See, when we ask God to like punish those that are doing witchcraft and spells, trying to stop me during the broadcast, see, if God sent fire and brimstone on their head or their house, then it would be a testimony that he's real and all this stuff, and then people would start turning to him, you know, and get healed. And, you know, he's not looking for that. So he punishes them in a way where they don't know what's going on, okay? But he will punish them. They'll reap what they sow, okay? Just keep asking. And then you could also ask the Lord to do it as soon as they start doing it the next time and the time after that and so forth, and that he punishes them in such a way that they can't continue doing it, but they won't know what's going on. That's the way to do it. The judges, of course, the Antichrist churches don't teach you this. See, when you tell them they go to an Antichrist church, they drop you. They get away from you. Why? They came out from among you because they were not of you. That's why. Isaiah 1. I don't know, maybe around verse 23. Let's see if that gets us a hit. No. Yeah, let me read you Isaiah 124. Therefore saith Adonai Jehovah of armies or hosts, the mighty one of Israel. The mighty one of Israel. You never read the mighty one of the divisive denominational sect churches with varying doctrinal statements. You never read about the mighty one of Israel, the mighty one of the churches, the God of the churches. There is a God of the churches, but he's not a God for real. He's a phony God. His name is Satan. The mighty one of Israel. I will ease me of my adversaries. I missed it by one verse. It's 24. Ease me of my adversaries and avenge me of my enemies. Now, let's analyze this. Does that mean that there's people that are, climbing up a magic stand-up rope or a Tower of Babel to heaven, and they're shooting bullets at God, and Yeshua are throwing spears at him? Of course not. Who are his enemies? His adversaries are interfering with his plans on earth to make Israel serving him post-redemption as the head of all the nations. They're opposing God's will on earth. May your will be done on earth as it is in heaven. They're opposing that. They're antichrist. The churches of the antichrist, the big church, and the messianic congregations are messianic antichrist congregations. That's all they are. And I will turn my hand upon thee and purely purge away thy dross and take away all thy tin. You read in Malachi 3, Elijah's doing this right there in the first few verses. You think Elijah's opposed to Jehovah and Yeshua? Of course not. He's right there with him. And I will restore thy judges as at the first. Who were the judges at the first? Moses and Aaron. Were they prophets? Yes. Who are the next two prophets coming after Yeshua and John the Baptist? Elijah and Apostle John. And they are the judges that are going to run Israel. And I will restore thy judges as at the first, and thy counselors as at the beginning. The 70 counselors with Moses and Aaron. Afterward thou shalt be called the city of righteousness, the faithful city. After the judges are running Israel, Jerusalem is a blessed place. Not now. Zion shall be redeemed with judgment. 2/3 get cut off. Zechariah 13 verses 8 and 9. And her converts with righteousness. Who are the converts? The non-Israelite born people that are coming to the faith and come to the faith in Yeshua the Messiah, and thus they're incorporated into Israel. Thus all Israel shall be saved. Read the last 3 verses of Ezekiel 47 about that. And the destruction of the transgressors and of the sinners shall be together. What is a transgressor? Let's see how Strong's flips it into English. He's the better of the translators. Break away from just authority, trespass, apostasy. Okay, they break away. Offend, rebel, revolt. Okay. Well, we revolted against the churches of the Antichrist. Transgressors and of sinners shall be together, and they that forsake Jehovah shall be consumed. Consumed. Let's check that word, 36:15. Kala is the Hebrew. And let's see how Strong's throws it into English. To cease, be finished, perish. Destroyed. They're kaput. They're bye-bye. No more. Not above ground, right? Cut off, whatever, right? Okay. Now, where do you read this? You read it in Malachi 4. Apparently, Elijah and Apostle John are doing it. Here it reads, For behold, the day cometh that shall burn as an oven. Well, we read that in Zechariah 12:6, that burning up the enemies round about on the right hand and the left shall burn as an oven, and all the proud, yea, and all that do wickedly shall be stubble. And the day that cometh shall burn them up. Remember them burning them up? Okay. Saith Jehovah of hosts, that it shall leave them neither root nor branch. But unto you that fear my name shall the sun, S-U-N, Shemesh in Hebrew, of righteousness, arise with healing in his extremities. That's where they had the tassels, the tzitzit, the tassels were, where the woman with the issue of blood for 12 years grabbed it and she got healed. Yeshua said, I felt power go out from me. Okay. So the people there knew he was the one they're talking about in Malachi 4 too. The church doesn't know because they don't read this. They only read the New Testament. They even sell books without the Old Testament into it. That's a shanda. Shanda is Yiddish for shame. Shall the sun, the Shemesh of righteousness, arise? That's him appearing in the clouds, with healing in his extremities. You shall frolic a bit. The correct translation, you shall frolic about like the baby calf of the stall. That's the everlasting life. You'll be young again. You won't have things wrong with you. Your knee, your hip, your eyes, your ears, your teeth, your toes, whatever. It's all finished. And you're young again. That's what this is telling you. And you shall tread down the wicked, for they shall be ashes under the soles of your feet. In the day that I shall do this, saith Jehovah of hosts. And what's the very next thing he says? Remember the Torah of Moses, the law of Moses, my servant, which I commanded unto him in Horeb, for all Israel with the statutes and the judgments. Behold, I will send you Elijah the prophet before the coming of the great and dreadful day of the Lord. That's Gog and Magog, but there's a 70-year break. And that's the second 70 in Daniel 9:24, which in no Hebrew manuscript reads 77. It's 70-70. The first 70 was maybe the Babylonian captivity, or possibly when Yeshua was born, to the destruction of Jerusalem in 70 AD, when it was the beginning of the 2,000-year punishment on Israel, the 2 day like 1,000 years. Okay. So it all fits together, except the crap the Antichrist church teaches don't. The Lord gave me that Antichrist church business the other day, and I'm using it heavily because I think it's great. Okay. I remember when I started saying Satan bot, the Lord thought it was pretty cool. He thought it was okay. He was encouraging me to stay with it. He liked it. But he taught me the church of the Antichrist. It's who's opposed to Christ is what it means. Anti-aircraft. It's opposed to the aircraft. It tries to destroy the aircraft, right? Antibiotic. It tries to destroy the germs, or it does destroy the germs. You get it? Antichrist. Destroy Christ. Well, they can't destroy Christ, so they just try to destroy his kingdom, his teachings. It's really the church of the non-elect and the non-called. The tares look like the wheat, but they're not. See, these people that they go to church, they don't get drunk, they don't shoot heroin, they don't rob 7-Elevens, they try to stay married, they don't fornicate outside of marriage, stuff like this. They walk the walk and talk the talk, but they're not inside. Their hearts are not right. They're not walking with Yeshua. Satan has them impersonating believers on purpose. So they look like they're the real thing, but they're not. They're the tares. There's no fruit inside them. At the harvest time, they stand up straight and tall because there's no fruit in there, no grain. But the real wheat is bent over with the weight of the grain, the good fruit. You see how it works? Because the darnel is the tares. Actually, the darnel has bitter stuff inside that will get you sick if you eat it. You play with them, you get sick spiritually. They're evil. They're wolves in sheep clothing. All of them. Just because there's a lot of them, people believe it. Why? It's silly. But they do. Because they're not the elect. They're not called. The people getting mad at the church doesn't necessarily mean that they're saved. It means they're upset in the flesh because they were taught a load of garbage. That doesn't mean they're saved. They're not going to get saved because they got mad at the church. They're going to get saved only because Father God Jehovah draws them to Yeshua and opens them up to the truth and the light. Are there some that it may likely happen to? Yes, I think so. I don't know. So maybe not. I don't know. I don't know. I want to look for a scripture here. It might take a few seconds. Not long. If I can't find it right away, I'll drop it. I'm looking quick, guys. I don't know where I wrote that down. I know it's here somewhere. Uh, if I can't get it real quick, I'll give it up. Let me see. No, I don't know where it is. Sorry. I'll have to dig it up again. Okay, basically, I think that's what I got for today. I hope you got something out of it. My email address is israelgiving with the number 7 at gmail.com. I do try to answer questions, take prayer requests, thoughts requests, and things like that. Um, so, see if I got any email requests. No. All right. Some of my packages came in. Yesterday I had a horrible day. Well, not so bad, but I mean, I had like 5 things going on the same day. So it was very hard for me to do a broadcast yesterday. I had the sprinklers getting worked on, all kinds of stuff going on, and I'm sorry. I did update Telegram quite well during the day, though. I was able to do that. So, all right. So, I'm Moshe. Please pray for me and my wife and for our peace, safety, protection, joy, healing of our bodies, and pray for our finances. Pray for our animals and pets, which are all rescues, to be happy, healthy, and whole. And pray for the peace of Jerusalem. Pray for better videos with new insights. And I send my Shabbat Shalom to all those who love Yeshua HaMashiach, and I hope you got something out of it. And just remember, we all went to the church at one time or another, but we came out. So we were in the same position as you are. If you're still in the church, nobody's going to look down on you because we all did it. Okay, self included. So I'm out. Thanks, guys.